SEAL Team Alpha was pinned down in a hostile compound with multiple enemy fighters closing in from all sides when their radio crackled with an unfamiliar voice. Apache Hawk inbound, 30 seconds to target. The voice belonged to Captain Gianna Parker, who'd been flying combat missions for 3 years while enduring constant questions about whether women could handle the pressure of close air support. But when her Apache helicopter appeared over the battlefield and she identified 8 enemy positions through thermal imaging, the SEAL team was about to witness the most precise display of aerial firepower they'd ever seen. Forward operating base. Viper sat in the heart of hostile territory, serving as the launch point for the most dangerous special operations missions in the region. The base housed an elite Apache helicopter squadron responsible for providing close air support to special forces teams operating behind enemy lines, where precision and split-second decision-making meant the difference between mission success and catastrophic failure. Captain Gianna Marie Parker had been assigned to FOB Viper for 18 months, flying her AH-64 Apache helicopter in support of special operations that officially didn't exist and weren't discussed in public military briefings. At 29 years old, with 7 years of military aviation experience, Gianna was one of the most qualified Apache pilots in the entire Army Aviation Corps. Her flight record showed 847 combat hours, 73 successful close air support missions, and precision targeting scores that exceeded those of pilots with twice her experience. She'd mastered the complex weapon systems that made the Apache helicopter one of the most lethal platforms in military aviation, including the 30mm chain gun, Hellfire missiles, and advanced targeting systems that could identify and engage multiple threats simultaneously. But none of that seemed to matter to the military leadership, who questioned whether women belonged in combat aviation roles that required what they called aggressive decision-making under extreme pressure. Colonel Marcus Webb, the commanding officer of FOB Viper, had made his position clear during Gianna's initial assignment briefing. "Parker, I don't care what your training records show or what politically correct policies say about women in combat aviation. Real close air support isn't a training exercise, and special operations teams can't afford to have pilots who hesitate when it's time to engage hostile targets." Webb represented a generation of military officers who'd spent their careers believing that certain combat roles required masculine traits that women supposedly lacked. Despite official policy changes that opened combat positions to qualified women, Webb and officers like him found ways to express doubts about female capabilities while staying within the boundaries of acceptable military discourse. "Women are naturally more cautious and less aggressive," Webb would explain during officer briefings that Gianna was required to attend. "Those might be positive traits in civilian life, but in combat aviation, hesitation gets people killed. When a SEAL team is under fire and needs immediate air support, I need pilots who can make lethal decisions without second-guessing themselves." For 18 months, Gianna had been assigned primarily to reconnaissance flights and low-risk transport missions, while male pilots with less experience and lower performance scores received the challenging close air support assignments that defined career progression in combat aviation. When high-priority special operations missions required air support, Webb consistently assigned male pilots, explaining that the stakes are too high to risk having a pilot who might hesitate at the critical moment. Captain James Mitchell, who'd arrived at FOB Viper 6 months after Gianna but had already been assigned to more close air support missions, privately acknowledged that her exclusion was unfair. "Gianna's simulation scores are better than anyone in the squadron," Mitchell told other pilots during unofficial conversations. But Webb's convinced that women can't handle the pressure of real combat situations. First, Lieutenant Ryan Clark, the squadron's newest pilot, had been assigned to advanced missions within 2 months of arriving at FOB Viper, despite having significantly less experience than Gianna. "It doesn't make sense," Clark admitted to friends. "Parker knows the Apache systems better than anyone, but she's always assigned to the safe missions." The systematic exclusion from combat missions had created a professional paradox for Gianna. She couldn't prove her capabilities in real combat situations because she wasn't given opportunities to demonstrate her skills under actual combat conditions. But military bureaucracy had an unfortunate tendency to create situations where assumptions about capability were tested in the most dramatic ways possible. SEAL Team Alpha's mission had been classified at the highest levels of Special Operations Command. Their objective was the capture of a high-value enemy leader whose intelligence network had been responsible for coordinating attacks against coalition forces throughout the region. The target was located in a fortified compound approximately 40 kilometers from FOB Viper, in terrain that provided natural defensive advantages and multiple escape routes that would make extraction difficult if the operation was compromised. Team Alpha consisted of 6 elite operators, led by Master Chief Petty Officer David Crusher Williams, a 15-year Special Operations veteran who'd conducted similar missions in 3 different theaters of operation. The team included explosive ordnance specialists, communications experts, and precision marksmen who could execute complex operations with minimal external support. The mission plan called for a rapid insertion, target acquisition, and extraction within a 2-hour window that would minimize the opportunity for enemy forces to organize effective resistance. But intelligence reports had underestimated both the number of hostile fighters defending the compound and the sophistication of their defensive preparations. SEAL Team Alpha had successfully infiltrated the target compound and located their high-value objective, but their extraction had been compromised by enemy forces who detected the team's presence and organized a coordinated response that trapped the SEALs inside the compound while enemy reinforcements surrounded the area. At 0347 hours, Master Chief Williams transmitted the emergency call that would change everything about Gianna's military career. Any station, this is SEAL Team Alpha requesting immediate air support. We are surrounded and taking heavy casualties. The duty officer at FOB Viper received the emergency transmission and immediately began coordinating available assets for rapid response. But the tactical situation presented challenges that would test every assumption about combat aviation capabilities. Hawk Flight, this is base operations, came the urgent radio call to the Apache squadron. Emergency close air support mission. SEAL Team Alpha is surrounded and needs immediate extraction support. Captain Mitchell was the duty pilot for emergency response missions, but his Apache helicopter was down for scheduled maintenance that wouldn't be completed for another 4 hours. The second priority aircraft was assigned to Lieutenant Clark, but he was currently flying a routine patrol mission 60 kilometers away and wouldn't reach the emergency location for at least 25 minutes. The only Apache helicopter immediately available for launch was Gianna's aircraft, which she'd been preparing for a routine reconnaissance mission scheduled for later that morning. Colonel Webb faced the decision that he'd been avoiding for 18 months: authorize a female pilot for a high-risk close air support mission, or leave a SEAL team without air support while waiting for male pilots to become available. "Sir," the operations officer reported, "Captain Parker is mission-ready and can be airborne in 5 minutes. All other Apache assets are either down for maintenance or too far away to provide timely support." Webb stared at the tactical display showing SEAL Team Alpha's location and the enemy forces that were systematically eliminating their escape routes. Every minute of delay increased the probability that the entire team would be killed or captured. "Parker's never flown close air support under actual combat conditions," Webb said, voicing the concern that had guided his personnel decisions for months. "This mission requires split-second tactical decisions that could mean the difference between success and disaster." "Sir," the operations officer replied carefully, "Captain Parker has the highest simulation scores in the squadron and extensive training in close air support procedures." Webb understood that his choice would either validate his concerns about women in combat aviation or demonstrate that his assumptions had been preventing him from utilizing his most capable pilot. "Authorize Parker for emergency close air support," Webb decided, "but make it clear that any hesitation or uncertainty will result in mission failure and American casualties." 6 minutes later, Gianna's Apache helicopter lifted off from FOB Viper with full weapons loadout and tactical systems configured for close air support operations. This was the moment she'd been training for throughout her military career, the opportunity to prove that capability in combat aviation had nothing to do with gender and everything to do with skill, training, and determination. As her Apache climbed toward the target area, Gianna reviewed tactical information that painted an increasingly desperate picture for SEAL Team Alpha. Intelligence reports indicated at least 15 enemy fighters with prepared defensive positions, automatic weapons, and rocket-propelled grenades that could eliminate the extraction helicopter if not neutralized quickly. The SEAL team was trapped inside a stone compound with limited ammunition and no escape routes that weren't covered by hostile fire. Their only chance for survival was precision air support that could eliminate enemy positions without damaging the building where friendly forces were located. Apache Hawk, this is SEAL Team Alpha, came the urgent radio transmission from Master Chief Williams. We need immediate fire support on multiple enemy positions surrounding our location. Friendly forces are approximately 50 meters from hostile targets. 50 meters was considered the minimum safe distance for close air support operations, and even experienced pilots avoided engaging targets that close to friendly forces unless the tactical situation was desperate enough to justify the risk. SEAL Team Alpha, this is Apache Hawk, Gianna responded with the calm professionalism that had characterized her entire military career. Copy your situation. I have visual on your compound and am identifying hostile positions. Through her Apache's advanced targeting systems, Gianna could see the tactical situation developing in real time through thermal imaging that revealed enemy fighters moving into position for a final assault on the building where the SEAL team was trapped. Her heads-up display showed 8 distinct enemy positions, 3 fighters with automatic weapons positioned on rooftops with clear lines of fire to the compound entrance, 2 rocket-propelled grenade teams preparing to engage the building directly, 2 sniper positions covering potential escape routes, and 1 heavy machine gun emplacement that was systematically destroying cover that the SEAL team might use for movement. Each target required precision engagement that would eliminate the threat without causing collateral damage that could harm friendly forces or civilian structures. The targets were positioned close enough to each other that engaging one would alert the others, requiring a rapid sequence of strikes that could neutralize all 8 positions before enemy fighters could react or take cover. Apache Hawk, we need those targets eliminated immediately, Williams transmitted with the urgency of someone whose team was running out of time and options. Enemy forces are preparing for final assault on our position. Gianna activated her Apache's weapon systems and began the target acquisition sequence that would determine whether 18 months of questions about her capabilities had been justified or completely wrong. Her 30mm chain gun could engage multiple targets in rapid succession with precision that would eliminate individual fighters without destroying entire buildings. The Hellfire missiles could neutralize fortified positions and heavy weapons emplacements with surgical accuracy that minimized collateral damage. But the engagement would require perfect target identification, flawless timing, and split-second adjustments based on enemy movement and friendly force locations that could change during the 30-second engagement window. SEAL Team Alpha, Apache Hawk beginning engagement sequence, Gianna announced with matter-of-fact confidence. Recommend you take cover and mark your positions for positive identification. What happened over the next 30 seconds would either validate every assumption about women's limitations in combat aviation or demonstrate that precision under pressure was exactly what Gianna Parker had been trained to deliver. Target 1. Rooftop sniper position, 347 meters northeast of friendly forces. Gianna's targeting system locked onto the thermal signature of an enemy fighter preparing to engage the compound with a precision rifle. Her 30mm chain gun fired a 3-round burst that eliminated the target with surgical precision. Target 2. Heavy machine gun emplacement, 89 meters due east. The enemy crew was traversing their weapon toward the building where the SEAL team was trapped. Gianna's chain gun engaged with a 5-round burst that destroyed the weapon and eliminated the crew without damaging the surrounding structure. Target 3. RPG team preparing to fire at the compound's main entrance. Gianna identified 2 enemy fighters with rocket-propelled grenades aimed directly at friendly forces. Her Hellfire missile engaged the position with precision that eliminated both targets while leaving the adjacent buildings intact. Target 4. Automatic weapons position on elevated terrain overlooking escape routes. Gianna's chain gun fired a controlled burst that neutralized the threat while avoiding a fuel storage area that could have created secondary explosions. Target 5. Secondary sniper position covering the compound's rear exit. The enemy fighter was repositioning for a shot that would eliminate any SEAL team member attempting to escape. Gianna's targeting system tracked the movement and engaged with precision that stopped the threat immediately. Target 6. RPG team moving toward closer firing position. Gianna identified the threat through thermal imaging and engaged with her chain gun before the enemy fighters could reach effective range for their weapons. Target 7. Automatic weapons team attempting to flank the compound. Gianna tracked their movement through thermal imaging and engaged with precision fire that eliminated the threat without damaging civilian structures nearby. Target 8. Command element coordinating the enemy assault from concealed position. Gianna's final Hellfire missile eliminated the leadership that was directing the coordinated attack against friendly forces. Total engagement time, 28 seconds, 8 enemy positions eliminated with 0 friendly casualties and minimal collateral damage. Apache Hawk, this is SEAL Team Alpha, came Master Chief Williams's transmission, with a tone that mixed professional respect with amazement. Outstanding shooting. All hostile positions eliminated. We are secure and ready for extraction. The radio frequency fell silent for several seconds as everyone processed what had just happened. A female pilot who'd been excluded from close air support missions had just executed the most precise engagement sequence that anyone at a FOB Viper had ever witnessed. Apache Hawk, this is base operations, came Colonel Webb's voice over the command frequency. Confirm your engagement results. Base operations, Apache Hawk, Gianna replied with the same calm professionalism she'd used throughout the engagement. 8 hostile positions eliminated, 0 friendly casualties, minimal collateral damage. SEAL Team Alpha is secure and ready for extraction. Webb stared at the tactical display showing the results of Gianna's engagement with disbelief that gradually shifted to professional acknowledgement. The precision and speed of her target elimination had exceeded the performance of any pilot under his command. Outstanding work, Apache Hawk, Webb transmitted with reluctant respect. Return to base for debrief. As Gianna's Apache helicopter flew back toward FOB Viper, every person monitoring the mission understood that 18 months of assumptions about women's capabilities in combat aviation had been definitively proven wrong by 30 seconds of perfect execution under the most demanding conditions possible. The mission debrief lasted 3 hours and involved every senior officer at FOB Viper reviewing tactical footage, engagement sequences, and performance metrics that demonstrated capabilities exceeding established standards for close air support operations. Parker, Webb said during the formal debrief, your target identification and engagement sequence was flawless. 8 precision strikes in 28 seconds without any friendly fire incidents or significant collateral damage. Major Rodriguez, who'd spent months arguing that women couldn't handle the pressure of close air support, was forced to acknowledge performance that contradicted everything he'd claimed about female limitations in combat aviation. Captain Parker's engagement demonstrated tactical proficiency that meets or exceeds the performance standards expected of our most experienced pilots, Rodriguez stated for the official record. The SEAL team members who'd been saved by Gianna's precision air support provided testimonials that would become part of her permanent military record. Captain Parker's shooting was the most accurate close air support I've experienced in 15 years of special operations, Master Chief Williams reported. Her ability to engage multiple targets in rapid succession while maintaining precision that protected friendly forces was exceptional. Within weeks, word of Gianna's performance had spread throughout the special operations community, generating requests for her assignment to missions that required the highest levels of precision and tactical expertise. But perhaps the most significant change was in the personnel policies at FOB Viper and throughout the aviation command structure that had excluded qualified women from combat missions based on assumptions rather than demonstrated capability. Colonel Webb implemented new assignment protocols that evaluated pilots based on performance metrics and training scores rather than gender-based assumptions about combat effectiveness. The most important lesson from this incident, Webb wrote in his official report, is that assumptions about capability based on gender can prevent us from utilizing our most qualified personnel when mission success depends on superior performance. Gianna was promoted to major and assigned as the lead instructor for close air support tactics, where she developed training programs that prepared pilots for the kind of precision engagement she'd demonstrated during the SEAL team rescue. Her techniques became standard curriculum for Apache pilot training, and her mission became a case study in aviation schools worldwide about the importance of merit-based assignment policies. 6 months later, when Colonel Webb was promoted to Brigadier General and assigned to Pentagon Aviation Planning, his first initiative was implementing policies that ensured combat aviation assignments were based on demonstrated capability rather than assumptions about gender limitations. The most dangerous enemy in military aviation, Webb told congressional committees reviewing combat effectiveness policies, isn't enemy fire or mechanical failure. It's the assumptions that prevent us from recognizing and utilizing exceptional capability when lives depend on superior performance. Major Gianna Parker continued flying close air support missions that consistently demonstrated the precision and tactical expertise that had saved SEAL Team Alpha. Her performance became the standard against which other pilots were measured, and her story became evidence that excellence in combat aviation had nothing to do with gender and everything to do with skill, training, and determination. The doubters who'd questioned whether women could handle the pressure of close air support learned that their assumptions had been preventing them from utilizing one of the most capable pilots in military aviation. And the SEAL operators who'd been saved by her precision engagement learned that the most dangerous assumption in warfare is underestimating someone's capabilities based on anything other than their demonstrated performance under pressure. Years later, when military historians analyzed the factors that contributed to the success of special operations during this period, they consistently noted that combat effectiveness improved significantly when assignment policies focused on capability rather than assumptions about gender limitations. Gianna's 30 seconds over the battlefield had proven that the most lethal weapon in military aviation wasn't advanced technology or superior firepower. It was the recognition that exceptional capability could be found in anyone who'd earned the right to prove themselves when lives depended on perfect execution under impossible pressure. Sometimes the most important victories happen when someone gets the opportunity to demonstrate that excellence has nothing to do with the assumptions others make about limitations. And sometimes 30 seconds of perfect performance under pressure can change everything about how an entire military views capability, qualification, and the dangerous cost of underestimating people based on anything other than their proven ability to deliver results when it matters most. Have you ever been in a situation where you had to prove yourself under pressure while others doubted your capabilities? Sometimes the most challenging moments become opportunities to demonstrate that assumptions about limitations reveal more about the people making those assumptions than about the actual capabilities of those being judged. 3 years after the SEAL Team Alpha rescue, Major Gianna Parker received orders to report to the Pentagon for assignment to the newly created Joint Special Operations Aviation Command. The position would make her the first female officer to serve as Director of Close Air Support Tactics, responsible for developing training standards and operational procedures for all Special Operations Aviation units across the military. The assignment came with responsibilities that extended far beyond flying combat missions. Gianna would be responsible for analyzing combat effectiveness data, identifying tactical innovations, and creating training programs that prepared pilots for the most challenging scenarios they would face in modern warfare. Her first task was conducting a comprehensive review of close air support effectiveness over the previous 5 years, examining mission outcomes, pilot performance metrics, and the factors that contributed to successful operations versus those that resulted in friendly fire incidents or mission failures. The data revealed patterns that would have surprised the officers who had questioned women's capabilities in combat aviation. Female pilots consistently demonstrated superior performance in scenarios requiring precision engagement near friendly forces, with friendly fire incident rates that were 63% lower than their male counterparts. More significantly, female pilots showed enhanced performance under stress conditions that simulated the kind of high-pressure situations where split-second decisions determined mission outcomes. Their ability to process multiple data streams while maintaining tactical awareness exceeded established benchmarks for combat effectiveness. The evidence suggests that assumptions about gender-based limitations in combat aviation have been preventing us from optimizing pilot assignments based on actual capability, Gianna wrote in her preliminary report. Personnel policies that excluded qualified female pilots from close air support missions may have reduced overall mission effectiveness. Her analysis included case studies from operations where female pilots had demonstrated exceptional performance, including her own engagement during the SEAL Team Alpha rescue, which had become a textbook example of precision engagement under pressure. But perhaps most importantly, her research revealed that mixed-gender aviation units consistently outperformed single-gender units in complex scenarios that required diverse skill sets and varied approaches to problem-solving under stress. General Patricia Hayes, the first female 4-star general in Army aviation, reviewed Gianna's findings with the recognition that they supported policy changes she had been advocating throughout her career. Major Parker's analysis demonstrates that diversity in combat aviation isn't just about fairness or equal opportunity, General Hayes observed during briefings with senior military leadership. It's about maximizing combat effectiveness by utilizing the full range of capabilities available within our personnel. The research findings led to comprehensive reforms in pilot assignment policies throughout the Department of Defense. New protocols required that combat aviation assignments be based on demonstrated performance metrics rather than assumptions about gender-based capabilities. Training programs were redesigned to emphasize the precision and tactical awareness that had made Gianna's engagement successful, with scenarios that challenged pilots to excel in situations requiring split-second decision-making under extreme pressure. Within 2 years, the changes had produced measurable improvements in combat aviation effectiveness. Close air support accuracy increased by 27%, friendly fire incidents decreased by 41%, and mission success rates showed consistent improvement across all operational theaters. Colonel Webb, now serving as Deputy Director of Army Aviation, became one of the strongest advocates for the new policies. His own experience with Gianna had taught him that leadership required the humility to acknowledge when assumptions proved wrong and the wisdom to implement changes based on evidence rather than tradition. The most important lesson I learned from Major Parker, Webb told military leadership conferences, is that the greatest threat to military effectiveness isn't enemy capabilities. It's our own willingness to limit our potential based on assumptions that haven't been tested against reality. The transformation extended beyond individual policy changes to fundamental shifts in military culture. Training programs began emphasizing that combat effectiveness required recognizing and developing exceptional capability wherever it appeared, regardless of whether it matched traditional expectations. Master Chief Williams, whose SEAL team had been saved by Gianna's precision engagement, became an instructor at the Naval Special Warfare Center, where he taught courses on joint operations that emphasized the importance of trust and competence over assumptions about capability. The person providing your air support might not look like what you expect, Williams would tell his students, but if they're qualified for the mission, their gender, race, or background becomes irrelevant the moment lives depend on their performance. Gianna's story became required study for military academies worldwide, demonstrating that breakthrough performance often comes from individuals who have been underestimated and are motivated to prove that excellence transcends the limitations others try to impose. 5 years after her promotion to the Pentagon, Lieutenant Colonel Gianna Parker was selected to command the Army's premier aviation training center, where she implemented programs that prepared pilots for the kind of precision engagement that had saved SEAL Team Alpha. Her training methods emphasized mental preparation, situational awareness, and the kind of calm decision-making under pressure that had characterized her 30-second engagement sequence. Pilots learned that combat effectiveness required more than technical skill. It demanded the confidence to perform flawlessly when lives depended on perfect execution. The Aviation Center became the model for training programs throughout NATO forces, with international pilots traveling to learn techniques that had proven their effectiveness in actual combat operations. When military historians analyzed the factors that contributed to improved combat aviation effectiveness during this period, they consistently identified the integration of diverse capabilities and the elimination of assumption-based assignment policies as crucial elements in enhancing overall military performance. Gianna's legacy extended beyond her individual achievements to systematic changes that ensured future generations of pilots would be evaluated based on their demonstrated capabilities rather than assumptions about their limitations. Her 30 seconds over the battlefield had catalyzed reforms that improved military effectiveness while creating opportunities for everyone who possessed the skills and determination to excel in combat aviation. The story of SEAL Team Alpha's rescue became more than just an example of precision air support. It became evidence that the most dangerous assumptions in military operations are the ones that prevent recognition of exceptional capability, when critical situations demand the very best performance from everyone involved. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, you can subscribe to see more incredible stories like this one.